Welcome to Book Root Readings, your channel for classic, nature, and living children's books. Click the subscribe button to be notified of new readings. Enjoy the story.
Brother William's Year, a Monk at Westminster Abbey, by Jan Pancheri. For Westminster Abbey, its inhabitants, staff, and visitors past and present. Jan Pancheri has been head gardener at Westminster Abbey for the past 7 years and has made a study of the monks who lived there. She was brought up in Worcestershire. Her grandfather, an Italian immigrant, and her father were both woodcarvers. She qualified as an art teacher in 1989 and has written and illustrated 2 picture books, The 12 Poodle Princesses and The Little Angel, both Red Fox. She also runs children's summer workshops and is passionate about encouraging youngsters to love gardens, nature, and the history around them. Almonry, abbey, yard, brewhouse, bakehouse, great cloister, refectory, dormitory, chapter house, necessarium, infirmary chapel, little cloister, garden entrance. Brother William is my name. My home is Westminster Abbey, and the year is 1383. I am a monk, and I am also the abbey gardener. I grow all the food we eat and the herbs we use for medicine, and I keep the garden looking neat and tidy. To help me, I have a friend called Rufus, who shares my home and my food. About 80 other monks live in the monastery. We call each other brothers, and each of us has a job. We live by the rule of Saint Benedict, which means we all work very hard. Everyone's job is equally important to make the monastery run smoothly. The clothes we wear, called habits, used to be black, but they have faded after washing. Only the abbot's habit is really black because his doesn't get as dirty as ours. Brother Adam, the infirmer, doctor. Brother Hugh, the cantor, director of music. Brother Gregory, the almoner, almsgiver. Brother Barnabas, the cook. The abbot, head of the monastery. January. Snow has fallen so heavily that I cannot open the garden door to go to matins, so I get out my shovel and dig the snow away. The pile of snow is big enough to make a snow monk and a snow dog. In the abbey, it is so cold that we make steamy breaths as we pray. Now is a good time to clean and mend my tools. I must get them ready for all the work they have to do in the spring. February. Lent begins. It lasts for 40 days until Easter. During Lent, we only have 1 meal a day, and we are not allowed to eat meat, flour, butter, milk, or eggs. So we eat a lot of fish and leeks. Recipe for Lenten leek soup. 2 leeks, washed and finely chopped. Bunch of spinach, washed and chopped. 1 cup almond milk. Ground almonds mixed to a paste with boiling water. Herbs such as thyme, hyssop, and sorrel, finely chopped. Salt, pepper, nutmeg, and lemon rind. Put leeks, spinach, and herbs into large pan with 5 cups water. Cook until tender. Puree half the greens and put back into pan. Stir in the almond milk, add salt and pepper, and garnish with grated lemon and nutmeg. Brother Barnabas asked me to catch some fish for supper. The abbot comes to the garden to see if we have enough leeks. Rufus is so pleased to see him that he jumps up on his clean black habit with muddy paws. March. Spring is here and the daffodils are out in the garden. I take a bunch to Brother Gregory in the infirmary chapel. There is a warm fire in there, unlike the rest of the abbey, to help him get well again. Digging, pruning, planting hedges. In the afternoon, I go to the chapter house to hear a reading in Latin. I am so tired that I fall asleep, and Brother Martin has to give me a nudge. April. Easter is here, heralded by the pasque rose, primrose. On Maundy Thursday, poor people come to the abbey. The monks wash their feet. Then they are given some money and a mug of ale. On Good Friday, we share an enormous hot cross bun for breakfast. It smells wonderful. We are all so hungry. I always plant my parsley seeds on Good Friday. Rufus and I chew cloves of garlic while we work to keep us warm. On Easter Sunday, children paint eggs and bring them to the abbey to be blessed. May. On May Day, Rufus and I always have a little dance to celebrate the start of summer. Early in the morning, I collect May blossom and lily of the valley to decorate the cloisters. 6 novices arrive to learn how to become monks. Their heads are shaved into a tonsure, which represents the crown of thorns worn by Jesus. The novices strew herbs in the cloisters to make them smell sweet. Later, they play a game of marbles in the north cloister. June. The garden is at its best. There is still work to be done, but there is always time for a nap on a sunny afternoon. Here I am with Rufus, savoring the scent of sweet peas in a willow bower. The abbot likes the brothers to practice their archery skills. Midsummer Day. Syllabub is a refreshing drink to have in summer. Brother Barnabas milks the cow into half a bucket of cider, adds some elderflowers, and it's ready to drink. July. The trees are laden with plums, damsons, cherries, and mulberries. We climb up ladders to pick them. Nearer the ground, gooseberries, red currants, and strawberries hang ready to eat. The novices pick these. Every year on St. James's Day, July 25th, we give our spare fruit to the local people. They gather outside the almonry door in the yard and we fill up their bags and baskets. Recipe for cherry pottage. 2 large punnets of cherries, stoned and mashed with fork. 1 glass cherry juice or red grape juice. 1 cup fresh white breadcrumbs. Honey or white sugar to taste. A walnut-sized lump of butter. A few whole cherries with stalks. Heat the mashed fruit with the butter, juice, and breadcrumbs. The texture should be thick and smooth. Taste to make sure it is sweet enough. Then pour into a dish and leave to set in the fridge. Decorate with cherries and serve. August. Now is the time for harvesting wheat and barley. We use the grain for making bread and brewing ale. We use the stalks for mending thatch, such as the thatch on my house in the garden, and making new skeps, hives for the bees. Grinding flour, mending thatch, making skeps. The bees live in a sheltered spot at the bottom of the garden. All summer long, they have been collecting nectar from the flowers. Before I take the honey they have made, I always thank the bees for making it. We use the honey for sweetening our food. We also take beeswax, the finest kind, and use it to make candles for the abbey. September. Towards the end of September, around Michaelmas Day, I have my one-day holiday. In the morning, a group of the brothers wake me by singing some of my favorite songs. They also bring me useful gifts they have made: hat, gloves, cider jug, hymn book, marble bag. Later, they cook me a delicious meal and toast my health. Brother William's holiday menu: broad beans and sorrel sauce, fidget pie with bacon, onions, and apple, peas pottage, blackberry and apple pie, spiced ale. October. Apples, pears, quinces, and figs are ready for eating now. The grapes on the vine are ready too. As we tread the grapes, we hope this year's wine will be good enough to drink at Mass. There is a good crop of acorns under the oak tree. Some we roast and grind to make acorn bread. The pig enjoys the rest. In the cloisters, an artist is working on a page of an illuminated book with special pictures. I take him some apples from the garden, and he draws me in the book up an apple tree. Here is Brother William in the tree picking fine red apples. November. The wind is busy now, blowing the leaves off the trees, though the holly tree stays green all winter. It is hard work sweeping up leaves. Luckily, my new hat and gloves keep me warm. Brother Adam comes to the garden to collect sage leaves to make a gargle for Brother Hugh's sore throat. It seems to work because Brother Hugh is soon practicing his Advent songs. Mint, mentha, used for indigestion. Rosemary, rosmarinus, used as an antiseptic. Marigold, calendula, used to soothe skin. Sage, sage, used for sore throats. December. Christmas is a time of celebration at the Abbey. On Christmas Eve, we decorate the choir with holly and mistletoe. We walk through the cloisters to midnight Mass. After the service, we gather for mulled wine and minced meat pies shaped to look like tiny mangers. Afterwards, Rufus and I sit in the garden. We remember the past year and wonder, what will next year bring? How the monastery began. In about 960, a monastery was built on Thorney Island in Westminster, London. This was a wilderness between two rivers. It was isolated from the rest of the world, and the soil was good for growing crops, so it was ideal for a monastery. A monk's life at Westminster Abbey in 1383. Services at the Abbey. Monks need a lot of time to pray. Each day between 2 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the evening, there are 8 services in the Abbey. The first one is called Matins, and the last one Compline, just before bed. A bell is rung for each service to summon us to the Abbey. Eating and drinking. We eat a lot of vegetables, especially broad beans, cabbage, leeks, onions, and garlic. We drink ale instead of water with our meals. At mealtimes, a giant bell called a cymbalum is banged with a hammer. We eat our meals in silence, so we have to use sign language. While we are eating, a monk reads to us from the Bible. Washing. Too much washing is unholy. We only bathe a few times a year, unless we are ill. Our clothes and bed linen are taken away to be washed and brought back clean and dry to the yard. This does not happen very often either, and so I grow a lot of sweet-smelling herbs to strew around the abbey. Sleeping. I have my own house in the garden, but most of the monks sleep in a large dormitory. In between their beds hang blue curtains to keep the drafts out. Monks have few belongings, so they don't need a whole room to themselves. Medicine. Medicine is a very important part of our work. It is one of the ways we help to care for people living outside the abbey. The infirmary treats illnesses with herbs, which are grown in the infirmary's garden. I try not to run out of any important herbs, though many are preserved in liquid or dried and ground into powder. The end of the monastery. Henry VIII had a big disagreement with the Church of Rome, and he wanted to get his hands on the church's wealth. So he shut down, the monasteries. The monks were thrown out, and the monasteries were turned into palaces or given to the king's favorites. Westminster Abbey was closed in 1540 and turned into a cathedral, and its fruits and vegetable gardens became pleasure gardens. Garden entrance, orchard, archery ground, lily pond, river, vegetable patch, fish pond, yew trees, wall, chestnuts, my house, tools, herb beds.